Welcome to the Undrafted Uncensored cast of Pod. Hosted by Nick Archuleta. Mosted by Colin Zanker. And last but certainly is least, Joseph Goodwin.
Welcome in, everyone, to Undrafted Uncensored, where it's 2/3 of us now, but that's because of the stupid cold weather.
Yeah, the other third could be joining us at some point. Doesn't really matter. The other third.
2/3 of us are here. The other turd. I mean, third. I know what I meant.
He could show up at any time. Who knows? No, we actually do know. Just this weather sucked, and it sucked even at 4:45 this morning when I was driving.
Oh, I was up at that time yesterday. Let me tell you a funny story real quick. So I go to bed, and I wake up about 4:30 in the morning, and I just hear a loud bang. Like, what the hell is that noise? And that's not good when it's negative like 10 outside, and you live by yourself, and you think it's pipe. So I'm like, shit, I broke a pipe. So I go to my crawl space, and I'm checking all my pipes, and it's nothing. But it keeps going, but it's not like a constant bang. It's just like maybe like every 2-3 minutes kind of thing. And I'm like, where is that coming from? So I'm going through my house, and it sounds like it's in the wall. So I'm like, oh, it's one of the ones that goes upstairs. So I'm walking around my house upstairs. I go outside real quick, walk around, make sure none of my pipes out there burst. Nothing. I can't figure it out. So I'm like, well, I'd had the doors open to the cabinets, but I'm like, well, maybe let me just, even though I've been running water through them, let me run a little more water through them just to make sure. So it's going through. I'm like, well, I'm already up. Let me go take a shower, get water through those pipes too, and see what's going on. So I'm going, I'm taking a shower, and same thing. It's just like every couple minutes. It's not like a frequent thing. So I'm like, what the hell is that noise? Feeling the wall, nothing. Listening to the floor, nothing. And I go downstairs, and I'm like, what is that noise? So I'm like, let me Google, pipe banging and see maybe if that's something.
Let me Google loud noises.
Yeah, loud noises in the night. So I go and I grab my breakfast sandwich, and I'm sitting there and I'm eating, and I hear it again. And this time it's like almost right next to me. I'm like, that's not right. It's not my water heater. And so I sit there and I'm sitting in just utter silence. And it goes again. It's my subwoofer. For whatever reason, my surround sound subwoofer just started going. Boom, boom. And so I unplugged it, and sure as shit, what happened? No burst pipes, just a broken subwoofer, I guess.
Why is your subwoofer making noise in the middle of the night?
Well, it's like the way it's connected, it's always on, and I think it's 15 years old. I think he's just crawling to the finish line at this point.
That's something. It's like, who knocks in the night? Nick's subwoofer does.
Yeah. So I've been subwooferless for the last 2 days.
Oh, poor buddy. Even on your day off too.
Yeah.
Subwoofer when you have a whole day to enjoy it. I'll be sleepless for today. I'll be sleepless for like this whole week.
Well, you're in Seattle.
Hey, I'll be in Seattle for my birthday. Rockies play the Mariners at the end of September. Last.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So shout out.
Fun.
We gotta get in touch with Rep actually and see what's up, because he'll be down there with them in spring training. So hopefully.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, hopefully the Mariners thing could come through, and if not, whatever, we'll figure it out when it happens. But yeah, first time through Seattle, first time ever in Seattle, so I'm excited about it.
Nice. Oh, what the hell? That's funny. Well, I'm text on my work phone that I owe toll dues on my work car, I guess, or my work phone.
No, you driving through all those tolls, not paying?
Yeah, I'm Driving through all those tolls, I guess.
You're the reason why they upped everything because of people who don't pay.
Yep, why should I pay? My good looks should be enough to get me through there for free.
If it hasn't worked the rest of your life, it's not going to start working now, Nick.
You never know. Better late than never. So how'd you enjoy the divisional weekend so far?
Yeah, oh my God. I would have enjoyed it a whole hell of a lot more if Tim Patrick had caught a touchdown pass.
That would have been perfect for you.
Well, it would have been really great for me. Overall, it was a great weekend. I had some fun, obviously, with a few bets out there on some games, and hit really good on some stuff, and saw some things coming. So, like last night, Derrick Henry was at plus money to get 70 yards rushing at halftime because he was only at 20, and bing bang boom, third quarter hit. It was there. Yeah. I thought all the games were really good. Obviously, they didn't quite go as expected, but all the games were at least a drive. They were in that kind of last drive. That's what ended it all.
Yeah.
I guess really besides the Lions game, that one felt over for a while, but it was still kind of competitive because it was a really fun second quarter.
Yeah.
So the weekend it was good. I think it was full of great football. I think the teams, when we talk about the Lions, I guess we'll just start there. That's a team that we talked about being held on, together with, by a string.
Yeah.
They were in trouble all year long. They found ways to win. They found ways to overcome all of the injuries, everything that came their way. They overcame it. And then a healthy, hungry Commanders team came in there and, exposed, beat them, I guess, at their own game. They outscored them. They outpunched them. Yeah. And you can talk about all the questionable play calling for the Lions. That's what scratched, there were a lot of head scratching play calls, I guess, in these games. That was one that was just like, why are you using a wide receiver to throw to a running back when you have Sam Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown? I have no problem with you guys being aggressive. And I get Jahmyr Gibbs is a freak of nature. But Jameson Williams should be throwing it to Amon-Ra St. Brown or Sam Laporta. Some of your guys who are more apt to getting up there and knocking the ball down if the wide receiver that's playing quarterback at the moment decides to make a bad play. So why the hell are you doing that? Some clock management issues. I thought the Rams were going to come back and pull it off. Man, my pick for the Super Bowl, they were driving there at the end. I was like, Stafford has this. But Saquon Barkley is by far the best running back in the league. I know that Derrick Henry has crushed this year and has been dominant, has so many touchdowns. But Saquon
took to another level.
He just, when he turned to Hurts and said, "I got you." I see shadows in my stairwell. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
World, I wonder if someone's trying to drop off my packages. But Saquon, speaking of packages, Saquon delivered the biggest blow of the season. You thought it was with that 60-yard or 70-yard touchdown run, and it had to be over. But then the response from the Rams, they proved that they should have been there. They deserved to. A bad sack on Matthew Stafford's part. Missed field goals. There was a lot of sloppy play, but also a lot of really fun stuff to watch. I don't know. What'd you take away from it this weekend?
I'll go to Buffalo. The Buffalo just kind of showed that they are on their own revenge tour. Remember back in '96 when the Broncos were eliminated the year before, and then they came in that next year and just walked their way through the playoffs to the Super Bowl. They're kind of reminding me of that team right now because same thing happened yesterday in that game that happened against the Broncos. Ravens came out and they scored right away, and my thought was, "Oh, this is going to be a close game." No,
are you talking about the Broncos game? Bill scored first in that game?
No, the Ravens did.
I thought the Bills scored first.
No, I thought it was the exact same thing where Buffalo's just going to start behind the A ball again.
We'll see.
Anyway, So, but I mean, either way, Buffalo just came out and they are not screwing around right now. They don't care who's in front of them, and I got a little happy too when Vaughn got that scoop on that fumble. I was really hoping for a scoop and score just because it's Vaughn. But I mean, they don't care who's in front of them right now, and they took advantage of every opportunity Baltimore gave them. And not only that, Baltimore just continues to show that they are not a complete team. Mark Andrews had a chance to secure that game or send that game to overtime for him. And, between him and Lamar, they still cannot find the finish line. And I was kind of hoping this year would be the year where they finally, exercise that demon. But you can't stop Buffalo right now. And they are going to really punch Kansas City in the mouth. I think that's going to be a good game. But I think Buffalo's going to finally reach the mountaintop.
Yeah, and you're right. I hope so. And I mean, you are right. Also, the Ravens did score first. I was getting back from picking up food when I heard Josh Allen score, which was the first touchdown I heard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was like the first one I heard was Josh Allen. I was like, hold on, that happened first. You're right about the Bills. I think that we talk about addition by subtraction. I mentioned this earlier. Losing Stephon Diggs made Josh Allen a better quarterback, and he was finding the open guys and making the plays that he needed to. The running game was kind of, it really felt like it was invisible for the Bills in this game, and that's something I think that they need to have more control over in the
Ravens too,
going up against Kansas City. Well, except for the third quarter, and once they had the third quarter, that's when they started to make plays.
Yeah, but
that was the thing. Like third quarter, they rushed down the field. I mean, Josh Allen only rushing for 20 yards. I mean, overall, the Ravens had 30 more yards, 29 more yards than the Bills, but it just felt like the Ravens had a much better rushing game. And they did, I guess, on average, they averaged 5.9 yards, while the Bills averaged 4.1. But Josh Allen, man, he has something about him this year.
Yeah, if he's, I mean, everybody keeps saying that game's not going to, be used to help him in that MVP vote, but you're a liar.
Well, the votes are in. They've already voted.
Oh, are they? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought they had one more week.
No, votes are in. They just don't get announced.
Okay. I mean,
votes have been cast, unfortunately.
Josh Allen, he made me eat my words. So, I mean, it is what it is, I know he's good, but he looked fantastic. And I mean, he handled that defense like he just picked him apart left and right.
He did. And he ran when he needed to, but the thing was, it was a bad weather game, but he delivered passes that were, very catchable. He has a cannon, and which helps him in those bad weather games. But still, the guy, I know that there were a few drops. Kincaid dropped one that he should have had, but not as many as there were for the Ravens. For the Ravens, losing Rashad Bateman for a stretch of the game definitely hurt them. It was really interesting because the Ravens also didn't have Zay Flowers again in this game. So
yeah,
you wonder what could have happened with that if Zay Flowers had played. I don't know if it would have made a difference. I mean, it would have had more options, but you said at the end of the game when the Ravens had a chance, and you can't put it all on Mark Andrews, but Mark Andrews was wide open, and that's the second time this year Mark Andrews has dropped a 2-point conversion, one to win a game against Pittsburgh, and then one to try and go to overtime against Buffalo. So maybe don't throw it to Mark Andrews on the road on a 2-point conversion when you need it the most.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a great tight end, trust me, but
oh yeah,
it just sucks that 2 times a year the Ravens had some very, I don't want to say bad luck, but they've had unquestionably underperforming players this year, and I don't think it started with oh my God, Justin Tucker all season long. Like,
Yeah.
I know he hit field goals in this game, but Tucker was the first thing. Was like, what the hell happened here? And the defense wasn't great until week 11, and then they turned it around, and they were one of the best defenses in the NFL. But for a whole season, they could never quite figure it out. And the Bills it was a very quiet, great season for the Bills. I think everything was talked about the Chiefs and how they were winning and what was happening. But the Bills just kept on plugging along, tortoise and hare kind of thing. Even though they were definitely beating teams more outright than the Chiefs were. The Chiefs were the whole news when the Bills were just like, hey, we're winning over here too. But it feels like all the pressure is on the Chiefs again this year. And the Bills, there's pressure on them, but I don't know if they feel the same amount of pressure as in past years. I think they're pretty loose and playing free. We'll see what happens come this week, but I think we saw a bunch of that this weekend, that the Bills were just going out there and playing ball. They weren't pressing.
They're having fun. And like you said, all the pressure's on the Chiefs right now because everybody keeps talking about three-peat. Oh, no NFL team's ever done a three-peat. No NFL team's ever a three-peat. And, as much as they want to say it doesn't bother us, we're just out here to play, it's getting in their heads. I mean, they're not the team 2 years ago that they were. They're still a dominant team, but they're not scary anymore. It's just a matter of finding a way to control mostly Travis Kelce and keep Mahomes confined to the pocket. If you can do most of that, you're going to cut their score in half probably.
Yeah, so, I mean, going into this weekend, the biggest thing that I think the Bills have to look out for was the injuries, because I believe they lost one of their cornerbacks to a broken arm. Was that right? Was that this game? I'm trying to go through this, skim through some of this. I know the Ravens were beat up, but we'll see. I'm pretty sure the Bills had like 2 injuries in that game. Maybe it was a knee from one of their cornerbacks.
I think one of them was a lineman too.
Yeah, that might be the broken arm was the lineman. Either way, we'll see how they can recover, but they played a hell of a game. Like I said, this was a great weekend of football. I mean, all the really games, even that Texans game, it was a 9-point difference, but Houston, they just you felt like the Chiefs were going to win that game.
Yeah,
but there was also a part that was like Houston is really close to beating the Chiefs, and that's what it's been all year with the Chiefs, even though they didn't play a great game. So I think that shows going into this next weekend, or even possibly the Super Bowl, that any of these teams that advance can really beat each other, because Washington, Detroit was in it. Basically, it felt like until a late pick and sack. The Rams were in it with Philly. It's like all of these teams have flaws. None of these teams is all dominant, and I think that's one of the reasons why we see the Commanders in there making it to the conference finals.
And like you said, most of them they all came down in the last few minutes, last 4 minutes the most.
Yeah. Detroit was the only other outlier that was 14 points, but that's because the last drive of the game, on the last drive of the game, the last drive, Goff threw an interception.
There you go.
And so it was after a missed field goal from the Commanders, that's what it was. And so they had a chance, but it's that pick killed them.
Yeah. I mean, it just goes to show
you could have thrown it to Tim Patrick in the end zone for a touchdown. Jerk.
But I mean, like it goes to show you though too that every little mistake is just that much bigger in this part of the year. That interception just goes to almost cut your head off.
I mean, for the Lions, their last 4 drives went touchdown, interception, field goal, interception. Mm-hmm. And then if you go back one more, it's the interception at the end of the half when they were driving.
Yep. And I mean, the Lions they're also relying on Jared Goff. Yeah.
Well, but and I guess that's Jared Goff in the postseason too. We've seen this before.
Yep.
I talked about this on Sunday's show with Spillin. When I was on there, I mean, Jared Goff, he has a tendency, I guess, not to show up. We look at the Super Bowl against oh my God, the Patriots.
Yeah.
And they put 3 points on the board. Like, there are some big games he hasn't shown up. And last year he did show up when it was the Rams and the Lions playing. He had a good game, but not good enough. Or excuse me, it was good enough last year, but then in the next round, it was not good enough.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, I mean, Lions are obviously making changes. Their offensive coordinator just became the Bears head coach, so we'll see how that affects the team. And
yeah, Ben Johnson
from there.
staying in division and going
Yep.
to the Bears. For a guy is you gotta like the offensive weapons that the Bears have, and you gotta like the move for the Bears. Now, what are they gonna do to screw it up? That's really what you have to worry about with the Bears is they're gonna do something and make some idiotic decisions somewhere along the way. But those offensive players, those weapons that they have in Chicago with Ben Johnson's creativity, as long as he doesn't go stupid creative, should be good. It should be good.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody's got to kind of put a leash on him and just be like, whoa, okay. Now, that's cool and all, but let's just get a baseline first. The Bears fans aren't used to this anymore. They're used to booing you. So do yourself a favor, win maybe more than 5 games, and then you can start getting fancy with a Wildcat or whatever.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how they're drafted and everything goes in the offseason. I'm surprised at that. I'm surprised at him staying in division, but those Bears Lions games should be pretty fun now.
That's gonna be fun now, yeah, for sure. Kneecaps all over the place.
Kneecaps everywhere. Thought we were friends. I mean, the only other let's go. Thank you, Desmond Bain.
Oh.
I missed 2 of my parlays because freaking Jalen Green couldn't score 20 already today. That jerk. That's all right. Everything's basically paid back with one more thing. But if the Lions also lose Aaron Glenn, that will be interesting because what Aaron Glenn did with that defense, I know they gave up 41 to the Commanders in this game, but I just mentioned it. The interceptions, the turnovers.
It's also an injury.
You gave them great field position, and yes, injuries on defense. There's a pick 6 in that game. So really, of the 45 points the Commanders put on the board, 38 of those, 37, whatever, 38. Yeah, 38 are from the defense, but then they were also put in bad positions. I think if Aaron Glenn stays with the Lions, they still have a chance at retaining some of that success that they've had because you would hope that most of those guys would come back healthy next year.
Yeah.
Like I said, we'll see. We'll see what happens because there's still vacancies.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting offseason for coaches, that's for sure. And we'll see where everybody lands. I'll head over to the hardwood where the Nuggies decided to sweep their way through Florida for the first time in 18, 19, 48 years, it feels like.
Forever. Feels like forever.
Yeah. And the best part is it was Orlando that they had the problem with the whole time, not Miami. And they were so good last night in Orlando. Joker didn't even have to play the fourth quarter and still managed a triple-double.
Still had his triple-double. The Nuggets are going to run into a problem here soon. We talked about it. We talked about how Russell Westbrook has been playing. I'm having fun now. But, man, what happens when Aaron Gordon comes off his minutes restriction?
Yeah.
It's hard to break with what's winning. When we were just talking about the NFL and the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs are not benching, but they're staying with their guy at left tackle in favor of the guy who's been playing the whole time and practicing with the team this past week, and that worked for them. So do the Nuggets keep going with the hot hand and what's been working? I think they have a tough decision to make, and that decision is going to be one that really I think could affect the rest of the season, because this starting five, how they're playing right now, can beat any team in the league.
Yeah.
Is it the same with Aaron Gordon in there? Well, we didn't really see this type of play out of them with those five in there when it's Jokic, AG, Christian, MPJ, and Jamal. I mean, we didn't see it a lot, but we haven't seen the same success. So you shouldn't have a max player coming off the bench. But what do you do with chemistry?
Yeah, it sounds bad, but it's kind of a good bad predicament, I guess, because you at least have that extra guy on the bench. But you're right. I mean, how do you keep that chemistry going when AG's been gone for so long? Joker's been in and out. Jamal, he's been
in and out
playing
too.
for. He's been playing for Homes for Humanity lately, or not lately, but was before when he couldn't hit anything. It felt like.
Yeah, and then he goes off for 55 or 56. I think he ended at.
Yeah.
And he's been hot since then. I sit here and I look at this Nuggets team, and there's, we talked about it before. Yeah, you need a bench. You need to rest some of those guys, and you need to rest them throughout the season. But once the playoffs hit, I think that rotation and Peyton Swatson, oh my God, one of the blocks of the year last night.
Yeah.
This team is really good, and I hope Malone and this front office doesn't cave to the idea of needing to sell something to get another big or another bench spot that's a marginal improvement, because I think you can marginally improve this bench. I do believe that there are players out there that are going to be better than a Westbrook or a Strother or a Watson. I do believe there are some guys out there they could get, but what do they have to give up for that? That's where you run into the issues of what are you giving up, what are you getting, and then how does it affect this team?
NBA trades are so weird anyway.
Yeah. And we've said it before. It's not going to be Jamal Murray. You can't.
Nope.
It's not possible to get rid of Jamal Murray. So whatever it is, you're working with what you got, and you don't have a lot of assets to trade. Even in a blowout, you couldn't get Dario Saric any good type of line. So he's not gonna command any sort of trade value.
No.
It's two bad contracts on this Nuggets team right now. Zeke Naji and Dario Saric.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. They'll figure their way out of it. They're sitting pretty well right now. The only thing that sucks is Joker's still the only Nuggets rep in the All-Star game yet again. He's
surprised.
He leads the West in All-Star game voting, though. And here we are again.
I guess you could make it a point that this year he really is the only All-Star.
Yeah.
Jamal Murray, we talked about his struggles early on. MPJ has been playing much better as of late. Let's not,
since the trade talks, really.
Yeah, since the trade talks. But before that, he didn't have a great start to the year. Aaron Gordon, if he wasn't injured, I think he probably would have been an All-Star, because he was playing great to start the season. So this year, I think that there's not really an argument of the Nuggets having more than one, All-Star voted.
Not even Westbrook?
Who are you going to vote in Westbrook over? There's no, you're basically voting in the best sixth man in the league into an All-Star game. And not that it hasn't happened before. I just don't think he's playing at an All-Star level. Yeah. I mean, he's averaging 13, 6, and 6. damn good for a guy off the bench. That's exactly
Yeah.
what you want. But is that an all-star?
I think for a 6-man it is, but
Yeah, this isn't the 6-man all-star game, Nick.
It doesn't matter. Still need to. Well, I mean, I guess it does matter because they changed the format anyway. So, did you see that they're changing the format?
Aren't they? I thought they were doing the same thing as last year, where
It's a lot. They're going to do it like hockey now, where each team's going to have like, I think 8 players on each team, and it's the first team to 40, and so they'll have 4 teams of 8. They'll, first round 2 will play, second round the other 2 will play. The winners will play each other, and that's basically how they're doing the All-Star game this year. Charles Barkley, Shaq, Kenny, and I can't remember. One of the stars from the WNBA. Those are your captains.
Okay.
And so they will be making the picks of their teams.
So wait, they have they have the whole TNT basketball night crew on there.
Yep.
Except for the host.
Kenny's there.
Well, but he's not picking it. No.
Yeah, he is.
Kenny Smith, right?
Yeah. It's Kenny, Shaq, and Chuck.
Yeah, but who the host? Why am I blanking on the host's name? With the glasses. With the glasses. No. Blah, blah, blah. Oh my God. Well, I'm looking it up right now.
That's okay because I'm pulling up the coach or the other coach anyway.
Yeah. Or Kenny Albert, right? Is it Kenny Albert?
No, not Kenny Albert. No, that's a white guy.
Who's the inside the NBA crew? Why am I? Well, that is the host. Who hosts NBA? Oh my God, we look like idiots.
I know, right?
I don't have cable. All right. On TNT. Are you? Ernie Johnson.
Oh, there it is, Ernie.
Yeah, you don't have Ernie Johnson. You have Shaq.
Ernie.
You have Shaq, Kenny, and Charles, and then Ernie isn't anywhere to pick a team.
I guess not.
Come on, it's their last year.
Candace Parker.
Hell?
So the 4 team will be.
Well, Candace Parker sits in sometimes.
All right, so the 4 team will be the winning team from the championship game of the Cashel Rising Stars. So Candace Parker will serve as the honorary GM of the Rising Stars champion, known as Team Candace. The others obviously are Team Charles, Team Shaq, and Team Kenny. So
that's terrible. They're leaving Ernie out, and it's a man. That's a slight. They should have Ernie in there.
Yeah, totally. I know exactly.
I agree, but I mean, who knows? Maybe
I agree completely.
Maybe Ernie made some bad choices somewhere else that they're like, no, you can't. You don't know what you're talking about.
You can't select a team, but yeah, Shaq, Kenny, and and Barkley can. Oh man, that's a slight. That's a slight on him. Maybe he said something about not. Maybe because he's not continuing on with the contract for the game night on TNT. Or whatever the NBA Tonight, whatever show it goes into, they're sliding him.
There he is. Welcome.
Hey, what's up, fellas?
We told you
Thanks,
he'd be here.
Too.
He made it.
We were talking about the NBA All-Star Game.
Oh, sweet.
So, did you hear the new format?
The tournament style, yeah. It's something. At least they're doing something different with it. I feel like though we're gonna get, I don't know. We're either gonna get more effort because there's more games and then someone gets hurt, or we're gonna get less effort in each game because no one wants to get hurt and it almost backfires. But I don't hate it, I guess, because we're trying something different, but I don't see it really working that well either.
I don't know. I mean, like I was telling Colin, it's almost like the NHL.
Okay, how does the NHL do it?
Well, it's 3 teams. or four
same
teams. Excuse me. Same thing. 4 teams. They have like they did a draft and they picked players. Like you had like McKinnon was a captain last year, and y'all picked your players, and then they went and played basically a quick round robin, and then the championship.
Okay, I mean, it'll be interesting to see for sure, especially how the teams shake out, and with what the Rising Stars team that wins that competition looks like too. Because if we get some really good player matchups, then that'll kind of help to an extent. Or if we get a fun like Jokic, Luka, Giannis, like a European basketball squad would be kind of fun. Maybe, but I don't know. Like we had an issue with guys not trying hard enough with one game. So now you push it to a few games. Those first couple of games, you might see guys barely doing anything. And then maybe at the end, they'll put a little bit more effort into it because they're not trying to save their energy or whatever. But like, it could end up being worse. But at the same time, like I said, I'd love to see that kind of team versus a team like LeBron, Steph, AD, something like that.
Well, and I mean, when you say that, so the thing I think with the other format was you also had so many players to rotate in and out and get on the court. So when you're playing with an 8-person, you have an 8-team squad. You got 8 guys. Okay. You're going to have some guys playing a lot more minutes in this. So, maybe it is a little bit more competitive because it feels a little bit more, I don't know, like, I don't want to say, back to the roots, where you're just, maybe gym basketball, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like, it's more gym basketball where you're just basically running with your guys up and down the court. Some guys are not getting that much of a break. So, you're right. It is something. Who knows? Because these all-star games are still a little crazy and boring, and they don't mean as much. But they're doing something, and I applaud them for that. Said we'll see how it works out. I wouldn't be surprised if we see an all-Europe team if we get a Jokic or if we get maybe Giannis as a captain. I don't know how they're
USA versus the world kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know who they're going to decide, but maybe Shaq takes Jokic, and then Jokic just gets in Shaq's ear, and or Shaq doesn't care. Actually, this is what would happen. This is how it would happen. Charles Barkley takes Jokic. Charles Barkley doesn't give a crap about the game, and he just lets Jokic pick all of his friends to play with him. Like, that's how it's going to happen. Shaq's going to care too much about the game and winning and beating these guys.
I feel like
Barkley, unless he has some sort of bet on it, he's not going to care.
But Shaq loves Jokic. And Barkley, I feel like Barkley takes Luka, and then that happens maybe.
Yeah, but Luka's hurt, so I don't think he'll be playing. But that's what I'm saying. That's how it happens. Shaq cares too much. But the way you get an all-Europe team is by Charles Barkley taking a guy like Jokic and not caring, and just letting Jokic pick the squad. That's how you get it. I don't think Shaq would do an all-Europe squad. I think he would pick a good squad.
No, Shaq would pick all centers. He would just take Jokic, Embiid, Giannis, Anthony Davis. He would just take the big man alliance as a squad.
He's definitely not taking Embiid.
Well, no.
He's ripped Embiid this season.
There's
no way Embiid is on his squad at all.
I'm not sure Embiid is an all-star, to be fair. But yeah, no, I could see Shaq just taking all the big guys and saying, fuck it. That would be kind of funny. But yeah, like, think of some fun dream 8-man squads. You got just everyone from LA. Like I said, Steph, LeBron, all those guys on a squad. And then, NBA Europe. You could do like the old heads versus the new heads, and you just put KD, Steph, LeBron together, and then you get the younger generation, I guess, Anthony Edwards, and a bunch of the younger dudes. And then, you still have an NBA Jokic team, NBA Europe. That'd be kind of fun. So the captains are going to be the inside the NBA guys?
Yeah, that's what we were saying. And then Candace Parker. It's Shaq, Kenny, and Charles. But they left Ernie Johnson out of it.
Yeah, that's lame. I want I want Ernie's team. It'll just be nothing but fundamental basketball.
Right? Send it, and they'll probably win.
Right? Yeah, Ernie's team would. That's why they didn't let him in. They couldn't have Ernie Johnson fucking dominating the All-Star game.
Embiid, by the way, has 383,000 votes as of 4 days ago. He's 9th out of 10.
Okay, so
for the front court. That's not even. I mean, he's.
Well, but they don't do positions anymore. It's just.
It's
voting,
front court
right?
and guards is how their voting is.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, because that's right. I'm thinking of All NBA. I'm not sorry. It's not the All Star. It's All NBA that does that. Then he probably doesn't get in. Then
Yeah, they don't do like the positions anymore, which was
just front and back. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. That's basically what the NBA is. A few guys play positions to an extent. Like Aaron Gordon is a power forward. Russell Westbrook is a point guard. But there's, for every one of those guys, you've got, Zach LaVine. What the hell is he?
Not a Denver Nugget.
Exactly. Maybe next year, not this year. But that'll be fun to watch for sure. I don't know. I'm less interested in the All-Star game itself and how the Nuggets look going into the All-Star break and then coming up before the trade deadline here in, I believe, a few weeks. It's like mid-February. It's usually around like Valentine's Day, if I remember correctly. So I'm not sure exactly what the deadline is, but that's going to be interesting to watch because I really would like to see some sort of bench move somewhere. I've seen rumors of guys from Portland. And you'll still see the mock trades of Michael Porter Jr. to every fucking team imaginable.
And it's February
8th. 8th. Okay, so not quite Valentine's Day. Damn, so that's coming up here. That's 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, well, basically 2 weeks away. Yeah, 2.5.
Ish, yeah.
It's always weird because then you have hockey and basketball that start at the same time, and then at the end of February is when the NHL trade deadline is. They're so far spread apart for whatever reason. I don't know. There are parts of me that wish that you would push that back a little bit more towards the end, because I think that I like how the NHL, because you really do know where your contenders are, and in basketball it feels like there's always that middle pack of teams every season that are right there. So I think you would get a few more explosive trades if you pushed it back a little bit further.
I think so, some teams because the whole apron thing has really made it harder to make a lot of these moves. So I feel like as a symptom of the most recent bargaining agreement that the NBA possibly does do that, because earlier it was helpful that some of those mid-tier teams were taking swings and potentially misses. But now I think you're right, Colin. I think that having that more decided will help.
Yeah, like I said, when it's this early and these teams are still in the mix, I think you're gonna have a lot less swings and misses, or swings and hits, because teams are going to be a lot less. They're going to be a lot more reluctant to pull the trigger on a guy who might cost them over the next few years if they don't know for sure that they have that shot.
Yeah.
Because we saw plenty of teams who would pick up these guys. You're like, how the hell did he move at the trade? Like, what's this trade at the deadline? And it's just like, all right, well, they're going to try and make a push. Now I think teams are going to be like, well, we have to make a push, so we have to get the right guys.
Yeah. The Suns are going on 3 years in a row. First it was the Kevin Durant, and then it was Bradley Beal, and that might have been the offseason. But still, they're going on, being a big trade deadline candidate every year. And again, this year, they're looking to move off of Yusuf Nurkic. They're looking to move off of Bradley Beal. Potentially Kevin Durant or Devin Booker wants out, and they end up blowing up the whole fucking thing because they have no draft picks and no future. So they're going to have to trade one of those guys if they don't win a championship this year. And they do not look like they're going to win a championship this year. So, it's going to be fun to watch, man.
Ship them all out.
Yep, we're almost there. So we'll just keep your eyes peeled as we move to the Avs, who just lost to the Minnesota Wild. That was their chance too, because they had a chance to get back into the top 3 and move Minnesota down to the wild card. So they got those 2 points. They got one more at home before they hit the road. Go ahead, Colin.
I was just gonna say they were only separated by 1 point going into this game, so
yeah,
that's a tough one, especially after they tie it up and a great McKinnon goal to tie it up, and then head really into the third period with a chance, and nothing came about.
Yeah,
I also considered making a Minnesota wild card joke, but I didn't.
They were, I don't know. They've been just kind of bipolar lately. You know, they get down on Tuesday, and I don't know what the hell that was on Tuesday. Then they have a comeback. Then they just dominate, and then today they just kind of just half-assed their way through the game. It felt like, and I don't know. It's just like at least pick a personality first. This way we can know how to be angry at you.
You know, I'm not sure that Makar is totally healthy. He took a puck off his ankle in Saturday night's game, and then he even lost a blade in today's game, or Saturday. Oh, yeah, it was Saturday. I'm not totally sure, like I said, if he's fully healthy. And not that everyone's fully healthy. I think he's a little bit dinged up. And Casey Middlestat just came back. There's who hasn't had a great season at all, but the defense needs to, I think, stay there and keep that intensity. I thought some of what was turning around was the Edmonton game. I just sit here and I think that they're okay. Mm-hmm. I think teams are still giving the Avs their best shot.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like they're the reigning champs, but they're still looked at as that top-tier team. So they're getting teams' best shots night in, night out, no matter who they're playing. Because everyone wants to beat the squad that everyone's talking about. And even though the Avs aren't the top team in the land, they're still getting talked about amongst all the NHL circles as being one of the top teams. So this feels like a little bit like they're biding their time. Like, get through it. I think Makar, maybe you need to sit him down for
a game,
a little bit. I don't know. Yeah, a game too. I'm not sure how long, but you just hopefully he can get fully healthy, because you don't want him at the end of a postseason series being like Landeskog at the end of the Stanley Cup run.
Yeah,
not being able to get to the bench.
Yeah,
they play Wednesday.
Are the Pat Benatar of the NHL. They're spending every game just go and hit me with your best shot. Fire away.
No.
They play Wednesday, and then
I'll be
they
there
have a day
Wednesday
off to go to the East Coast. Of the East Coast, they have a back-to-back, Boston, then New York. So there's 3 games in 4 days right there. Maybe you pick one of those to rest Makar. I don't know. I mean, if you do it Wednesday, that's 3 days in a row before you hit the East Coast. But those,
he's not sitting in Boston. He's not sitting in Boston.
No,
he went to college at UMass. Like, there's no way he's sitting in Boston, especially the defenseman. Boston is defenseman's holy grail.
Oh yeah.
So he's playing there. Maybe he sits in New York, but there's no way he's going to sit out that Boston game. Or it would be terrible game planning, because Makar is bound to have a great game in Boston, no matter how injured he is. He's got it. Actually, now that I think about that, I'm putting 2 goals on the board for him in Boston.
Uh-oh. Already here he goes. Yeah, I mean, well, and they kind of put themselves behind the 8 ball too to start the season with all. I mean, yeah, a lot of it was injury related, but they didn't start as hot as they should have too. So that also doesn't help a whole lot. But I mean, it is what it is. You know, they're fighting their way out of it, and they're a wild card team right now. And the way they started, I'm content with it.
Honestly, it's just these little lapses. This is where you miss Gabe.
Yeah.
I mean, tonight they gave up 2 goals in the third period within the span of a minute and a half, basically. That's a leadership thing. And it's not that McKinnon or, I mean, Mikko with the trade rumors, that could be an issue, but it's not that those guys don't have leadership qualities. It's you miss having Gabe out there, because not that it won't happen when he's there, but I feel like it's a lot less likely.
He fixes it if he needs to, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Like I said, they got 3 games in 4 days coming up starting Wednesday, so they'll be heading to the East Coast. Until then, thanks everybody for tuning in. Subscribe, like. We don't care what you're watching from. Just make sure you watch and listen and share and subscribe and love us. And, we'll love you and hug you and squeeze you and call you George.
No matter
we
what
will not hug and squeeze you and call you George without your permission.
He gets that in the victory formation now.
This is the victory formation.
All right, boys, here we go. Let's play in football. 6 right tight diamond victory on 1. Break.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, it's jam.
The Pick'em segment proving that Colin Zanker is the most humble man in the history of time. Least. Featuring Nick Archuleta wishing he was somewhere else. And Joe Goodwin just kind of winging it.
That's right. This is the victory formation where we make real bets with fake money, and we typically do well. At least some of us do. This week, one of us went 3-1.
Reigning champ.
One of us went 2-2, and one of us went 1-3. Let's get into it. First game we chose was the Texans versus the Chiefs. I thought the Texans had a chance, and they kind of did, besides all the interceptions. And the Chiefs ended up coming out victorious. Biggest odds of the week, or biggest favorite of the week. So the big win for Nick and Joe at 12-20 on that one. We move on to the Commanders versus the Lions. Well,
got that one wrong.
Nick decided to be the one who went against the grain, and he chose the Commanders, kind of like I felt like I wanted to do, but I didn't.
I thought you did.
No, Nick chose the Commanders. I did not reverse track like I did with Kansas and Iowa State, although I should have. And Nick with a big win of the week, $46 there, plus 360. Hopefully you put some real money on that one. I actually thought about it and I didn't.
I forgot to.
Rams and Eagles. The Eagles come out victorious. The Rams, my Super Bowl pick, lost. Nick's the only one to get that one right also, meaning that he won $13.60 there. And the only one that I got right this week, Joe joined me in picking the Bills. Thank you, Nick, for not choosing the Bills because they would have lost that game.
You're welcome.
Me and Joe won $19.52 there, meaning for the week, I'm the big loser, minus $10.80. Joe in second, winning $11.72, and Nick, the big winner, $61.80, putting you over $100 at $101 or $102.63.
That's $1.
I am still in the positive at $13 or $12. Joe is at $35. Let's get into the picks for right around there. We're still in the positive. You can't lose. Well, actually, you can. No, you can't lose this week. Oh, you can. I lied.
Just like some people.
4 games. 4 games before we pick the next one. One we had already picked: Notre Dame versus Ohio State. Joe and I already went with Ohio State. Nick chose Notre Dame. We move to the college hardwood tomorrow night, Tuesday. There is a top 25 matchup, a top 15 matchup. Mississippi State's heads out to Tennessee. Nick, who you got? 14 Tennessee State, 14 Mississippi State, number 6 Tennessee.
Give me the Vols.
Nick takes Tennessee. Joe, who you got?
Yeah, I feel like Tennessee might end up falling off more this year, but because they had like one big loss, I want to say, but I don't know enough yet, so we'll still stick with them. We'll take the Vols as well.
Joe is sticking with the favorite, and I'm going with Mississippi State. Yeah. You kind of said it there. Tennessee typically has some sort of fall off. Usually it happens in March Madness, but they do have some stupid games each year. And I think Mississippi State plays a tougher brand of basketball than Tennessee does. So if Mississippi State can beat them up, they should win that game. Next, we move to the Heat versus the Bucks. This game is Wednesday night, I believe I had, but either way, it's the Heat versus the Bucks. Joe, who you got?
Man, the Bucks are a better team in every way, and I still just want to take the Heat. for no real good reason. I'll stick with Milwaukee though. They're just good. And Miami's got Jimmy back and he's playing to an extent, but it's not the same.
Well, Joe, I always, you know what they say, that you should always go with your heart, and my heart said the Heat. So thank you for not taking them, because once you wavered, it solidified it. The Heat are playing much better basketball as of late, so give me the Heat in this game. Nick, who you got?
Give me Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. I see you guys. You're being smart, picking against the guy who went 1 for 3 this week. Don't go with the prophet. That's all right. I won plenty in real bets last night, just like the Derrick Henry plus money at halftime. Boom! Cash it. Last game we choose is the Capitals heading up to Edmonton to face the Oilers. Capitals coming off a game-winning. Well, they'll have another game before this. But Capitals just had Ovechkin hit a game winner the other night. Oilers obviously have been on a roll also. However, I am going to take the Capitals because I just don't want to see Edmonton win. And I don't like winning these bets. So
smart.
Nick, who you got?
He froze. That's the
best. He did freeze. Oh, beautiful.
Freeze.
All right. Well, Joe, who you got? Well, we hope to see if he can come back.
I'm going to steal Nick's thunder, and I'm going to also take the Capitals. I'm taking OVO. I think it's going to be fun. And also, this is straight up, like you said, Colin, this is me betting on who I'm rooting for, not at all who I think is going to win.
I actually was not going to pick the Caps. I was going to pick the Oilers because they've been playing really dirty, especially Draisaitl as of late. And so, give me Edmonton because they're just playing dirty right now.
Well, see, that was the whole plan. That was to make Nick pick Edmonton because he doesn't want the Avs to move up in the standings. He hates the Avs. He
hates the Avs.
That's the whole reason. That's the whole reason why.
I've heard Nick say that he hates the Avs multiple times.
Just need to get Draisaitl just punch in the face.
Well, those picks are out into space as we wrap this up, and we'll have those. We'll have the recap for you probably Friday or Saturday this week.
One of those days.
Yeah, Friday or Saturday. We will be back to talk about the Golden Domers and their national championship that they haven't won since 1988.
There's a piece of me that wants to bet on
isn't that against you
tonight, right now.
No? Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. Thank you, Michael Spillin, and everybody over to e5280sports.com for hosting us. Thank you to Pikes Peak Sports Cards, our sponsor. Thank you to all of you that come out and listen to us and watch us, whether or not it's live or after we've recorded. We appreciate you. We love you. Share, subscribe, like, and remind everybody that we exist and we like talking sports. So
sharing is caring.
Thank you, everybody.
Jump in the chats. We are more than happy to have you joining the show as well. For Colin Zanker and Joe Goodwin, this has been Undrafted Uncensored. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Until next time, go sports.
Bye, guys.
Love you.
Yeah,
and gals.
Play football. Come on, football. Go football.